Hello, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to this Q&A session, the third one so far, and still 3 more to go until the closing of this call. As you know, the purpose of these sessions are to give you the opportunity to ask live your questions about everything: finances, activities, policy instruments, eligibility requirements, whatever's on your mind. We invite you to do so. And for that, we'll be with you for about an hour. And don't worry, because if your questions cannot be answered live, we will do it on Slido. And this gives me the opportunity to tell you that this is the tool that we will be using today for you to post your questions. You will see that you have the chat that you can use to say where you are tuning in from, to say goodbye, hello, goodbye, to introduce yourself, to give us your feedback on this webinar. But please, if you have to post your questions, use Slido, that you can do using the hashtag Interreg Europe, or using the code, the QR code that you will see on your screen. And also my colleague Josephine will post the link on the chat. My name is Charo. I'll be your host today. And as you can imagine, I won't be doing this alone. With me, it's my colleagues, Etienne and Vincenzo. Guys, turn on your cameras and say hello to the audience today. They will be answering your questions live. Hey, Vincenzo, Etienne.
Morning, Charo. Morning, you all.
Good morning, everyone.
Hey. Yes, well, as I was saying, please don't forget to post your questions on Slido. And before we start, a quick reminder on the dates of the call. As you know, our second call is open now. We launched it on the 15th of March and will be open, as you can see on the screen, until the 9th of June, noon, Paris time. We will be helping you and supporting you in the preparation of your applications through more sessions like this one. Also, the lead applicant webinar week that we will introduce a bit later during this session. And you can also send us your questions through the form that is on our website. We will introduce all these tools before the end of this session today. And before we start with your questions, we would like to get to know our audience a little bit better and to know how familiar you are with the program, since we know that we are having a lot of newcomers. Please answer this poll that you can see on your screen today, and let us know if you know us, if you know the program, and let us know the kind of audience that we have today. We have a few seconds for you to reply. I can see that more or less is quite balanced today. But still, we have a lot of newcomers. Well, then I hope that you find this session very useful today. We will try our best to reply all your questions, to give you all the answers that you need. And then I think that if we can start with your questions now. Let's start. Let's see. Okay, I think I have a question for you, Etienne. Before we start, sorry, something that I forgot. I see that we have many questions submitted under the name of Anonymous. I think that is nicer for you and for us if we can address you by your name. So if you don't mind, when posting your questions on Slido, we would appreciate if you can let us know your name, indicate your name, so we can address you directly through this session. But someone posted a question, Etienne. They want to submit a proposal related to smart governance, but they say that they are not sure about how to address the investment for growth, for jobs and growth program. Can you please give them an example? Can you please guide them on this?
Yeah, thank you, Charo. I can see actually several questions in one question here. So if the question is about what is an investment for jobs and growth program? It's very easy. There's the list of all the different instruments that is available on our website in my country page. So here you will have a tab, an Excel tab, where you can find by country all the investments for jobs and growth programs. Very often, to give you a concrete example of what it can be, it depends of each country, of course, but very often it will be the ERDF, ESF regional program. So if the question was about what is it and what is it for my country, you can find the answer on our website. If the question is more about how to address or how to improve an investment for job and growth program, here we have three kind of improvements that usually we ask projects to tackle one way or another. It's either a structural change of the program, meaning, for example, a new call for proposal that was not planned at the beginning and that will be planned, or a new strategy or a new specific objective that was not in the original plan, but that will be added during the revision process thanks to your participation in the project. Can be as well an improved governance of the program, for example, with a better communication with stakeholders that will be more implied into the revision process of the program. And the last kind of change that we can see linked to this kind of program is new projects funded by a program. So again, that's also a kind of policy change that we foresee for this kind of investments for jobs and growth program.
And also, just a quick reminder, I take the opportunity to tell our audience that they can also find the list of these programs on our website per country. There is a list, so you can go and check what are these programs in case that you have doubts about them. Okay, now I think I have another question for Vincenzo. Regarding the stakeholder group, could you please provide any tips about it? Average size, variety of the consortium, if it's a mix between public and private?
Sure,
Vincenzo.
thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Charo, for passing this question. Well, regarding the stakeholder group, what we can say is that there is no limit. What is important actually is not really the quantity of the stakeholders, but rather the quality, even though the main target groups of our program are regional authorities and regional policymakers. We are still encouraging you, of course, to form a stakeholder group, which basically represents all those actors that are important in the regional ecosystem, because when you're developing regional development policies, you're always dealing also with other actors that are present in your region, such as chambers of commerce, regional development agencies, and also the private sector. So the stakeholder group should be representative of all those actors that are important at regional level. And then with regards to the variety of the consortium, as I said, the main target of our program are regional authorities. And so, of course, it is always possible to involve private non-profit organizations as project partners. So there is the possibility also to involve some actors from the private sector as long as they are non-profit. But the main actors and target of our program remains public authorities and regional development authorities.
Okay, thanks, Vincenzo. And here's another question for you, Etienne. Is it feasible to have two project partners and an APA? And I would like to clarify here for those that are not familiar with the program that an APA is an associated policy authority, which is usually the owner of the policy instrument addressed. So is it feasible to have two project partners and an APA from one region? Can this be eligible in case there is a well-described explanation, in case this is justified? Is there a maximum combo of one project partner and APA per region?
Yeah, thank you, Charo. Just indeed for the associated policy authority. So what Vincenzo was mentioning before, the main target of Interreg Europe is indeed regional authorities and the policy makers. So if this policymaker cannot be part of the project partner, they can be involved as an APA. In this kind of situation that is described here, yes, theoretically, it's possible to have two project partners. Sorry, cats. That's the perks of having working from home,
the
exactly.
perks of telework.
So in this case, yes, it's theoretically possible, but it's going to be a bit more difficult for you to demonstrate that you have two project partners that are part of the project that have something to share, and it's going to be difficult to demonstrate the policy relevance and the capacity to influence a policy instrument, and why there's a need to have two project partners coming from the same region while the APA is still not part of it. So it's theoretically possible, but it's going to be difficult for you to provide a clear and concrete and strong explanation in this regard. What we advise, again, it's in theory, what we advise is indeed to, if possible, involve the APA. So if you have two partners coming from the same region, then ideally there could be the region, for example, or the city supported by a business center, by a regional development agency. And again, so that's one of the possibility. And if the regional authority cannot be part of it, then indeed be as APA. I hope it's clear. But again, I think it's very important to have on board the regional authority and to have the other partner more as a supporting partners. I think that's what makes more sense in a partnership.
Thank you, Etienne. I think your cat wants to have to be in the spotlight today.
A lot of questions as well.
Yes. Okay. This one's for you, Vincenzo. Would it be a problem if the project partnership included two countries that are already involved in another transnational or cross-border cooperation program, such as Interreg or MED program?
Thanks a lot. Well, this is an interesting question. Like, I would say that in principle, there is no problem because like actually all the other programs are covering like all Europe. So it's going to be extremely likely that like your regions are already involved in another transnational cross-border cooperation area. The problem is though, like that we want you, as we are a pan-European program, we want you really to go beyond the area that is normally covered by transnational and cross-border program. So this is important when you're actually forming your partnership. Then we would really need to see a wide geographical coverage, and this is also reflected in some requirements of the program related to the cover of to covering like 4 different areas in which the program is divided. So in principle, no problem at all. But then of course, like we encourage you, and actually it's required for you to go well beyond the area covered by transnational and cross-border cooperation programs.
Thank you, Vincenzo. I saw that someone is asking some tips for project methodology. I take this opportunity to remind you that we will have this lead applicant week at the end of the month, and we will have a whole session devoted to project methodology. And yes, we have lots of tips for you, and you will be able to also make your questions live, and we will reply your questions live. So please, if you are interested about getting to know more about the project methodology, we invite you to tune in the last week of this month. We will remind you of the dates before the end of this session, and join this session. It will be very interesting for you. Okay, we continue with the questions after this brief reminder. Etienne, I think this is mostly about this service that we have, asked for feedback, but if you also can explain this, we will present this at the end, but if you can also tell our audience how they can ask for our feedback in case they have a mature proposal or well drafted already proposal for a project.
Yeah, sure, Charo. It's actually a very interesting service, and it allows you to gain a lot of time because instead of sending the application and not being sure actually if the application is at all relevant or if it goes on the right track, before submitting it, you can ask for feedback. So as said in the question, it needs to be a bit mature, it needs to be a bit refined already. So with a couple of ideas of methodology, the kind of policy instrument you would like to address, the kind of partners you have in mind. And there's a form on our website where you can submit this to us. And in a matter of 1 week, usually we get back to you and we tell you, okay, this is right in line with what we expect as a proposal. So please, complete the whole proposal and submit it. Or we give you feedback where you could improve the points to improve, the points that are not clear or not fully in line with what we would expect from an Interreg Europe proposal. On this very specific question, the kind of format, actually, yes, we would like you to use the online platform and not to send an email with a PDF attached, because then it allows us to keep track of everything that is sent to us, to allocate it to the different officers that will get back to you. So we ask you really to get through this form and to only use this form to request feedback.
And also related to this, Kevin, thank you, Kevin, for giving us your name, finally. Kevin is asking what would be the best timing to send the proposal for feedback?
Well, I would not advise to send it the week before the call close, because indeed there's not going to be any time for us to get back to you and for you to improve the proposal if there's anything to improve. So I think now is a good time, and up to, it depends on how fast you can be in improving the proposal based on our feedback. But I would say up to 3 weeks before the end call, the call close. I think it's a good time for you to still work on it, for us to give back the feedback first, for you to work on it, to get back to the different partners, and to submit it on time. So I think 2 or 3 weeks would be the last time I would say for you to submit it.
Yeah, and also please do it when you have a clear idea of what you want to submit. I mean, the partnership, of course, the main activities, the project objective and purpose. I mean, the clearest and the better detailed the proposal is, the better our feedback will be as well.
Yes.
I think I have another question for you, Etienne, and I also see that we don't have many questions. I invite you to don't be shy, take this opportunity, submit your questions. Of course, if I don't know if it's because everything is very clear or because they want to get rid of us as soon as possible. I hope this is not the case, but please don't be shy, submit your questions. In the meantime, we have another one for you, Etienne, about, again, investment for jobs and growth programs. For the criteria investment for jobs and growth goal programs, is it enough to identify as policy instrument a regional operational program, in this case from Italy, with a specific objective, for example, environment, or is it required to identify a specific objective on employment?
Yeah, and then I guess the confusion maybe is because the whole this kind of program are called investment for jobs and growth. Then no, it can, as long as it is in the list and it is considered as an investment for jobs and growth, even if the specific objective you would like to tackle, for example, environment, biodiversity, climate change, is part of this program, then it's fine. It doesn't have to be specifically on employment or on growth, also on support to SMEs, for example. So yes, it can be a specific objective environment from a regional operational program. Yes.
Okay, well, I see we have this question about the program manual that we wanted to address a bit later, but since we don't have any other questions so far, I would like to say, well, first of all, here's my program manual. As you can see, it's always with me. You can tell that it's been used. It has stickers, my name twice, just in case. So with this, what I want to say is that it's very important, if you're planning to apply, that please read the program manual, because no matter how many sessions you join, and even though we're there available to help you and support you, if you are planning to apply, it is essential that you read the program manual. We've worked a lot to make it more user-friendly, to clarify certain concepts that could be maybe clearer, and to help you in a way to better understand the rationale of the program. The main difference between the different versions of the program manual are very different. We cannot list them today because there are many editorial changes that were made throughout this the preparation of the first call. However, we invite you to always take the last the updated version of the program manual that you can find on our websites. The main difference is it's not when it comes to the program manual, but rather the program as such, the requirement that certain eligibility criteria that changed and that we always present and explain when we present the program and the call. If there are slight differences between calls, these you can find it in the terms of reference. There are no substantial changes in the program manual because there are no substantial changes in the rationale of the program. But like I said, it's very difficult to list them all today here. What we can do is to invite you to check the last version, the updated version of the program manual on our website. And having said that, I'm very happy to see that we have more questions and that you also are giving us your name. Again, I encourage you to indicate your name. Francesca is asking, is it possible to include in the budget external expertise about analysis or support in, I suppose it's a stakeholder group engagement? If so, can it be for all partners if justified? Vincenzo, I think this one's for you.
Thanks a lot, Charo, and thanks a lot, Francesca, for posting this question. It is possible indeed, like to budget also some costs for external experts that are going to support you, for example, in the analysis. If you don't have like the skills like to carry out such an analysis, for example, of the local ecosystem, and so, or if you need some support, for example, for moderating like the meetings with your local stakeholder group and to engage them. And what we would like to remind you though is that the main beneficiaries and the main target like of the interregional learning and exchange of experience should still be the staff and the employees of the regional authorities. So it is important that like the exchange of experience and the interregional learning is actually not driven by the external expertise. So this is also why the general recommendation of the program is to keep the external expertise and services cost category under 50% if possible. So this is like the main recommendation that I will give you when planning this kind of budget and this kind of cost, but it is possible. And then of course, like if it is also systematically done by all partners, also there I would maybe suggest you to carefully check and consult your partners whether this is really needed by all of them, because otherwise like planning like such a budget for all of them, it might be a bit artificial and some of them might not even need it. So really discuss this carefully with your partnership, and like then of course like you are allowed to budget this under external expertise and services cost category.
Okay, Vincenzo, if you don't mind, we continue with you because I see that we have another question related to finances. How limited is the budget for pilot projects with infrastructure works? What are the conditions to plan such activities in the project?
Okay, yeah, thanks a lot also for this question. And I think like, yeah, this is related to the budget of pilot actions. It's one of the novelties of the program, like the possibility to apply for a pilot action actually at the application stage. Thanks to the pilot action, it's also possible to plan a budget for infrastructure and works. There is a newly introduced cost category specifically used actually only in pilot action. About the conditions to plan for such activities, I will say like, of course, like the first one is a general recommendation, like, you know, the activities should always match the cost and the cost should always match the activities. So the other way around. And as a general also recommendation about the budget for a pilot action, what we have seen in our experience, what we've seen in previous pilot actions submitted by other projects is that like the average budget of a pilot action within Interreg Europe program, it's between 40,000 and 120,000 euros per region. So this is a general recommendation. When it comes then to the infrastructure and work cost category specifically, there what I can tell is that the program is expecting maybe small labor cost and cost for materials, for example, to make some small installation on the terrain. In the past, for example, we had like a pilot action where some smart benches were installed in order to improve like the urban mobility system. And in that case, for example, the installation of such smart benches could be actually under this infrastructure and works cost category. And like you can see actually from the sides of such a work that it's going to be quite a small amount, like so always let's say limited, considering also the pilot nature of pilot action. I hope this offers enough element to answer the question of Indre. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, well, I will also say if when we reply your questions live, you think that is something missing or that we didn't understand what you were trying to explain in your question, please don't hesitate to pose your question again or clarify wherever it's on that wasn't clear enough, and we will address it again. And I would like to take this opportunity, since we're talking about pilot actions, to remind you that even though we have this new feature now and you can apply for pilot actions from the very beginning at the application stage, this is not at all compulsory. Some applicants asked about this. You can still apply for pilot actions after the midterm review. So you don't need to apply for pilot actions at the application stage. In order to do so, you need to have a very clear idea of what the pilot action is going to be, the main components, the main elements, and this is not always the case. So please keep in mind that you can do this at the application stage if you have a very clear idea of what this pilot action will be, but if not, you will still have the opportunity to apply for pilot actions later on throughout the course of the project. Okay, let's continue now. Etienne, I think it's your turn. We have this question: how can be sure who is responsible authority for a policy instrument of a foreign partner whose political framework we don't know?
Yeah,
I suppose this is a lead partner asking.
Yes, well, I think the best answer to this is really to get back to your partner and ask who is the responsible authority of the policy instrument. It's a very important. So first, the product partner will be the best suited to tell you if they are, if someone else is. So that's the best way to go. I really draw your attention on this because indeed it's a key point that we will check during eligibility. If the policy responsible authority of the policy instrument is not involved as a partner and not involved as an associated policy authority, then it will be an issue for the eligibility, and we won't be able to go further for this project proposal. So I think it's really something key to check with the project partners, that indeed to double check, triple check who is indeed the policy responsible authority, if they are on board as a partner or at least as an APA.
And in case of doubt, remember that it's always the national contact point for each country who will give you the answer to this. Sometimes not even the partners are sure about this information. It's not us, it's not the program who can confirm who is the policy responsible authority. It's the national contact point, it's the member states who can tell you in case of doubt. Ultimately, they are the ones that confirm who is the policy responsible authority for a policy instrument in particular. So please, the contact details for these national contact points are on our website as well. So yes, as Etienne was saying, refer to your partners, but if the partner is not sure, they have to go to their national contact points.
Yes, very good point, Charo.
Yeah. Again, we continue with kind of a similar question related to policy instruments. Someone is asking if the policy instrument has a European scope, like for example, the Covenant of Mayors, but is managed by a regional local authority, can the latter be considered as responsible authority?
Not an easy question, I would say. I'm a bit less familiar with the Covenant of Mayors and the different initiatives linked to it, to be honest. What I think should be clear first. The policy instrument should be very much operational, and I have a doubt that, for example, the Covenant of Mayors would fit into this definition of a policy instrument that is managed on a territory with clear objectives and applicable to a specific policy, but I might be wrong. And second, what is important is indeed that it's that there's a clear responsible authority. And again, I think for the Covenant of Mayors, it's, of what I know, is more initiative, gathering inputs and discussion between different mayors, different cities, but maybe with less applicable policies. So I would not recommend to select this kind of covenant as the policy instrument you would like to address. So that could solve the question in a way. If in general you have a European strategy, but that is applicable at your regional level, again, what is important is to have the right authority on board. So if it's a European strategy, then that means that it's going to be a European organization that is on board. Even if it's implemented and done at the local level by a regional local authority, then they wouldn't be considered as a responsible authority. And the third point that I would like maybe to highlight as well is that Interreg Europe is very much focused on regional local authorities. So it's really about this interregional cooperation project. So it's really about connecting different regions together. So not so much interesting per se a European wide instrument, but very much local policy instruments. Because again, we are part of the regional cohesion policy. So I would say that for all these three reasons, I don't see any possibility for an initiative or an objective or something related to the Covenant of Mayors to be considered as a policy and implemented by one regional authority being part of an Interreg Europe proposal. And I don't know, Charo, if you want to add something on this.
Well, actually, I I had again my program manual here, and I just wanted to invite them to check the definition of policy instruments on our program manual when they are in doubt. So what we can, what would be a policy instrument, like in this case, the Covenant of Mayors is an initiative. I'm not sure how this operates at regional level, but yeah, as you said, the most important is that the managing authority is on board, and in this case, I think it's a more complicated case. But again, it's important to check the definition of policy instrument that we have on our program manual and make sure that this applies to your case, to the initiatives or plans or strategies that you're planning to address on your project before selecting this as your policy instrument. And yeah, that said, we can continue with the questions. I think at the end, I'm sorry that this is also for you, related to the advisory partners. Someone is asking about the advisory partner. In the manual, page 59, it states the participation of advisory partners should remain limited. Most interregional cooperation projects are implemented without advisory partners. So the advisory partner is not really appreciated. Which role should an advisory partner cover? Well, first of all partners are appreciated. That said, yes, that said, Etienne, please go ahead.
So, and second point, thank you very much for reading the manual, indeed, because a lot of things are there, but clearly not
we're getting there, we're getting there.
Clearly there's still some need for clarification. So yes, as Charo was saying, every partner is appreciated, so that's fine. If you want to have an advisory partner, that can be fine. What we wanted to say in this is that don't feel obliged to add an advisory partner, and don't consider that it's mandatory to have an advisory partner in a project. The role that we see as an AP is either by its expertise on the topic that is going to be tackled. So for example, a university, you want to tackle, I don't know, something related to climate change, and there's a very good university that has a very good expertise on the topic, and you would like to have them on board to provide some expertise and to foster the discussion between the project partners. This could be the role of an AP. The second role is more on the methodology. So how to make sure that the discussion is going between the partners with the different stakeholders. So this is another role that an advisory partner could have in a project. Again, these are the two main roles. This can be as well, you don't need to rely on an advisory partner. Some product partners can do the same tasks, activities. So it really depends on you, on the capacities of your different product partners. Again, if it's well demonstrated, and we can see that indeed no product partners can really do it, and the expertise of an advisory partner is indeed needed, that's fine for us. So again, don't feel obliged to involve one, but if you see the need and you can demonstrate that it's indeed interesting for the success of the project, don't hesitate to do it as well.
Okay, thank you, Etienne. We have a question here, Vincent, so I think that I can send this one your way. Someone is confused. They say partnerships where at least 80% of the partners comes from the same cross-border or transnational cooperation area, or where at least 80% of the funding is allocated to the same cross-border or transnational cooperation area, will be scored knockout. Is confusing. Can you help this person?
Sure. We can clarify better also because this is linked to something we were already mentioning before when I was mentioning like the geographical coverage of the program and the 4 areas. So basically what we mean there is that like, and since we are a pan-European program, we really need the partnership to be geographically diverse. And we are also aware there are some programs that are actually so large, they actually cover many regions, and like they could potentially even cover like most of the 4 areas that I was mentioning before. But maybe also let's put the the accent also on this. In the second call for projects, there is a requirement where basically the partners should be from at least should cover at least the 4 geographical areas of the program that are thanks a lot. Actually, yeah, we have like some visual support from Petra, so showing like the 4 areas: the north, the south, the east, and the west. The thing is that there are some transnational programs that actually could cover already 3 out of those 4 areas. So you will basically need to add only 1 partner to potentially cover all the 4 areas. But then in that case, the partnership will still be unbalanced because, for example, let's assume that you have a partnership of 10 partners. And most of them are coming like from let's say like the region that, for example, are covered by a large program such as Interreg Europe Med, which covers already 3 out of 4 of our areas. Then you add a partner from the north, but in that case you will still have like the large majority, more than 80% of the partners. So more than 8 partners in this 10 partners partnership, covering then the 4 areas required by the program. So this is what we mean when we say that you need to go well beyond the transnational cooperation area. And then like with regards like to the actual numbers, like that's yeah, the indication basically. Like, so if you see that 80% of your partners are from the same transnational or cross-border cooperation area, then the project is going to be automatically scored with a knockout score, which means that it's not going to pass the quality assessment. I hope this addresses the question.
If I may add something, maybe. It's really as well in line with what Interreg Europe is about. It's really interregional cooperation. Maybe Petra, you can as well show the different strands of Interreg of ETC programs. I think everyone has their own goal, and if you want to deal with transnational area and with partners from the same zones, then transnational programs are really fit for you, and then apply for Med, apply for Central Europe or for Baltic Sea. But interregional cooperation and Interreg Europe is really about getting out of your comfort zones, the usual suspects and the people that you usually talk to because they are neighbors. And so it's really about getting to other parts of the continent and part of the EU and Norway and Switzerland. So that's really the goal that we have behind this knockout thing. It's really to force you to go further and to discuss 2 regions that you are not used to collaborate with.
Thank you, Etienne. Actually, I think that I will need you again because there is another question related to this. Someone's asking if 4 areas, the 4 areas are covered, can we have 3 partners from the same country? I suppose in this case, they have a total of 9 partners involved already.
Yeah. So that would mean that 1/3 of the partnership is actually coming from the same country. So here there's two issues that we see. First, if these three partners want to work on the same policy instrument, the relevance of involving three partners for the same policy instrument will be a bit difficult for you to demonstrate. So that's already the first issue that we can spot. The second issue we can spot is that means that potentially up to 1/3 or even more of the project budget would be dedicated to just one country. And this is not really in line of one of the quality criteria about the balanced partnership. So meaning that all partners should have similar budget and similar involvement in the project. So here there will be maybe too much of one country receiving the budget and being involved in the project. So again, that probably would be an issue to solve.
Okay.
Again, I mean, that's fine in theory if two partners, for example, we were mentioning before the involvement of policy responsible authority and an additional partner wanting to tackle the same policy instrument. So coming from the same country, from the same region, this is fine. If there are three, it's going to be more difficult for you to demonstrate the role of all three and why all three are needed.
Yeah, it always comes to the way how you justify things.
Yes.
And in any case, it would be difficult to justify the participation of three partners from the same country. I think that we don't have more questions. We didn't receive many questions today. We still have a few more. We got a new one. Is there any tool that can help us build a partnership, in particular to avoid the knockout phase? Well, the knockout is not a phase, and we hope that you are not knocked out. But Etienne, can you, or Vincenzo, I don't know who of you guys wants to take this question.
Well, I can start with one suggestion off the top of my head. Like what I can say is that, like, well, use the large community on our website, like to source for potential partners and try, like, you know, like just to compare it with the geographical areas that we were showing before and that they are available in the terms of reference and in the program manual. So like you can simply refer to that and then simply source for partners. You can publish your project idea and like try to attract as many partners from as many diverse regions from Europe. And I don't know if any suggestion from Etienne was aligned with this or if he wants to add something.
Yeah, so indeed the community is the first one. This is the easiest, let's say. I would suggest as well to get back to your national contact points that can help you reach out if you are looking for a specific partner, for example, for a partner specialized, I don't know, in SMEs competitiveness on a specific sector. You can as well rely on this network of national contact points, and they can communicate with each other and highlight maybe some partners that could be interested to join your proposal and to join your partnership. And the third thing, we organized last fall, and I guess we're going to organize them again before the third call. We organized networking events, sectoral networking events online. So on each of the objective, to present a little bit what the objective was about, and also to give you the opportunity to actually meet potential partners. So submit your ideas and have in breakout rooms the people that were interested by your idea. So I guess we're going to organize it again, but this is up to my communication colleagues as well before the third call. So that could be a good way. It's a bit too late for this call for this kind of tool, but for the next call, I think it could be a good idea as well to join these online networking events. And in general, events are a very good way to network with people and organization, and to find who's in line with the ideas you have, discuss. So all the events organized by the Policy Learning Platform as well are a good way to meet new people, new organizations, and to pitch your idea of proposal so they can join your partnership.
I think it's important to remind our audience that the partnership has to be well balanced geographically speaking. Also in terms of development, that to make sure that you have more advanced and less advanced regions that can help each other, and also topic wise, because in the end the partnership has to serve the purpose of the project, and you are all addressing a specific topic, a specific challenge, and you have to find these partners that can help you address this challenge, and to that you can learn from each other, and at the end of the project to improve your policies, which is the main purpose of any Interreg Europe project. And I take the opportunity to remind you again, although we will tell you about the dates before the end of this session, that we will have a specific session on partnership the end of the month during the lead applicant webinar week. And my colleague Hassan will be there answering your questions live. So please, if you have more questions about partnership, you can either post them today. We invite you to post your questions today, or if not, to join this session the last week of the month to learn more about partnership. I see that we have more questions. I'm very happy about it. Someone is asking what kind of communication and dissemination activities are recommended. I don't know who of you guys wants to take this question, either Etienne or Vincenzo.
Maybe I can start, and then like if Etienne wants to add anything. Well, communication activities are relevant for both phases. As you know, actually, our projects are divided in the core phase and the follow-up phase, and communication activities needs to be carried out all along the project duration. Of course, in the first phase, they're going to be more focused on disseminating what you've been doing during the exchange of experience, during the interregional learning with the other partners. So concretely, what we would expect you to do is like to being present on the social media and with your project website that is going to be provided by the program, and to organize dissemination event. In particular, the final dissemination event that is going to be organized though in the follow-up phase, in order to disseminate the results achieved through the interregional cooperation that you have carried out with your partners. And yeah, every project is also required to have a sound communication strategy where all your communication objectives are defined, and like where you also define what are your main target groups in order to, how to say, ensure an adequate outreach of your project and the results achieved. And yes, those will be my recommendation with regards to the kind of communication and dissemination activities. I don't know if Etienne wants to add anything else on that.
Well, we get back to the program manual once again, but actually...
Program manual.
Yes. Indeed, there's everything that Vincenzo mentioned. We ask you as well to produce 2 videos that should be planned, one at the very beginning of the project to explain a little bit what you're going to talk about during the whole project phase, and then one at the end to present the results. So again, a lot of things are available in the project manual, in the program manual, sorry. So on what is really required, and as well a couple of tips, advices on how to build a sound communication strategy that Vincenzo mentioned.
Thank you, Etienne. I think we have another question for you from Esther, which is related to policy changes or policy results. Also, before I introduce this question, and for those of you that are not particularly familiar with Interreg Europe, you need to know that for us, the most important thing is that at the end of the day, you get to improve these policies that you are addressing through your projects. And there are different types of changes or improvements. One is new projects, which is what this question is related to. The other possible change is governance. So you improve the way in which your policy instrument is managed. And the third one is a structural change, which means that you are changing the structure, the text itself of the policy instrument addressed. So Esther is asking, in case a partner chooses this one type of change, new projects, as an improvement, does it mean that they should have an approved project or application by the end of semester 6? Which is the end of the core phase? Is there any provision regarding the main applicant of this new project? Should this be the the partner itself?
So indeed, if you foresee a new project funded by the policy instrument, then indeed that means that by the end of semester 6, that's what you should demonstrate during in your application, that you foresee to have new projects funded by the end of semester 6, because in the core phase you should have both the exchange of experience but also start to have results. So that's what you should aim for, and that's what you should demonstrate at the application. If at the end of the core phase, so by the end of semester 6, we can see that when you're about to enter the follow-up phase, you didn't manage to have this project funded that you were planning to have at the beginning, then you will have to produce a short action plan to explain how you will actually manage to have these results in the follow-up phase. That will be very short, just 1 year. To answer very directly your question, yes, you should have a project expected to be funded by the end of semester 6. On the second part of the question, who should be the one submitting this new project? It can be the partner, but it can also be that thanks to the work of the partner in Interreg Europe project, you push or you encourage one stakeholder, for example, to submit an application. So again, as long as the link with your activities in the project are clearly demonstrated, it does not have to be your organization specifically that is either funding or submitting the project proposal. It can be one of the stakeholders, for example.
Thank you, Etienne. I think I can, guys, give you a short break and take this one on the specific requirements to designate a lead partner. I'd say that the lead partner, the most important is that they have experienced in the field of interregional cooperation. And of course, if they have experience on Interreg Europe, that would be great, because it's a very heavy role with a lot of responsibilities. And it's obviously better if you have experience on interregional cooperation. I don't know, Etienne or Vincenzo, if you want to add something to this.
Yeah, maybe we can add about like the eligibility of a lead partner as such. Of course, like it needs to be a public body or a public authority, and it needs to be from one of the European Union member states or Norway. So basically, yeah, countries that are financed by the program either through the ERDF or through the Norwegian funding. And it cannot be, this means that the role of lead partner cannot be taken over by private non-profit entity. They can still be involved as partners, and it cannot be given to Swiss partners. They cannot be lead partner.
Okay, Etienne, I see you're nodding. Do you want to add anything or?
Nothing to add.
Okay. Then I continue with you, Etienne, if you don't mind, because there's another question related to communication activities. Are more communication activities appreciated? For example, one local video produced by each partner to present results achieved at local level in the project, or 2 general project videos are enough?
It really depends on the communication strategy at large. It's difficult to say for this specific activity if it's makes sense or not. If it makes sense in the overall picture that you present of the communication strategy, then yes. What we appreciate is always more the quality than the quantity. We don't ask every partner to provide something, but if you think that indeed it's good to disseminate the project objectives and results at the local level in the national language, and that it's going to be easier to communicate on the project activities, then yeah, sure, include them. Again, as long as the budget is reasonable, as long as it makes sense in the overall picture of the communication for the project, then it's fine. It's the kind of activity we can usually see in project proposals. But again, the 2 general project videos are enough and mandatory anyway. So if you want to add something, then why not explain what you want to do, and it's possible.
And also, in case of doubt, please check the specific section on communication activities on our program manual, because there you can find these activities, as Etienne was saying, that are compulsory and that must be included in your work plan related to communication. Okay, we have this other question. Someone submitted on it says, on manual, it aims at a partnership of 5 to 8 regions. What's meant by region? It can also be 2 regions of a country. Etienne, I think this one's for you as well.
Sure. So what is meant by regions? Very often we, as interregional cooperation program, very often we refer to the NUTS 2, so which is a level of region for most of the European countries. So that's what we mean by region. Can it be 2 regions of the same country? Yes, it can. So that would mean that potentially you would have 2 policy instruments for each region or each local authority, let's say. But again, as I was saying before, the aim of Interreg Europe is to discuss with organizations, regions all over Europe. You will have to take this into account on the side. It depends really very much on the size of the partnership. For example, a partnership of 5 regions and 2 of the same country, that means that 40% of the project will be in the same country. Doesn't make a lot of sense for an interregional cooperation program. That's really up to you to decide and to see what's more relevant. Again, the emphasis is discussing with regions all over Europe in the 4 corners of Europe. So there can be 2 regions, but the need to have 2 regions from the same country should be demonstrated and explained at the application.
Also, just to complement a little bit that this notion of region, that on Interreg Europe, for us, region is like it's a wider term. It refers to a territory. I'm saying this because, for example, for some countries like Spain, where I am from, we have a very clear concept of what a region is, and it's not always the case. I mean, like I said, for us, region is a wider term. It applies to a territory, and not particularly the concept of region that you may have in your country.
Yes. Just to complement on what you said, Charo, indeed, as partners, we can have as well local authorities like municipalities, for example. So with a very clear territory, it can be a county, it can be
city,
a city, a lot of different things. Yes.
Exactly. Okay, Esther is here again with another question according to the program manual. I suppose this is the program manual, which is the policy responsible authority is in charge of the elaboration or the delivery of a specific policy instrument. In your terminology, what does delivery mean? If a policy owner assigns another entity to deliver the policy instrument, does this entity is considered as a policy owner? Etienne, I think that also here we have to take what we said before about the national contact points in case of doubt.
Yes, clearly. If you have a doubt and you're not sure that a specific organization can be considered as a policy owner, then don't hesitate to get back to the national contact point that will be able to confirm this. Because ultimately we also rely on the confirmation from the national contact point. So don't hesitate to do this. Delivery, what it can mean is, for example, an intermediate body. So it's not specifically the one that designed the policy instrument, but that's the one that will co-design and very much implement on behalf of the policy owner, the policy instrument on a specific territory. So this, in certain cases, can be considered indeed as a policy owner. But again, in case of doubts, rely and ask the national contact point that will confirm or not the policy ownership.
Yes, usually the owner is the one that develops and implements a policy instrument. But again, in case of doubt, please refer to your national contact point. Okay, we have another question. 3 geographical separated regions with different policy instruments could be interesting in a large partnership and all areas covered. Is not the same France or Luxembourg in extension? I'm not sure I understand what this person is trying to ask. I don't know if Etienne or Vincenzo, you understand what?
Not really. Maybe Anonymous, you can rephrase it a little bit so we are sure to fully answer the question you have.
If not, 3 regions of the same country.
So this is a point we already tackled. I think the issue, if there's 3 regions in the same country, in the same partnership, the issue is that there will be too much of one country represented in the same partnership. So the whole partnership won't be very much balanced. It is theoretically possible, but it's not very recommended. In any case, when you involve more than one partner from the same country, even from different regions, so different policy instrument. So more than one partner from the same country, it's always good and strongly recommended to demonstrate why you need to involve 2 partners from the same country in the same partnership. So 3, I think it goes not so much in the direction of what we want a project proposal to demonstrate. Again, this cooperation with regions everywhere in Europe, and less so in the same country.
Yes, maybe if I can add something on that, at the end, it's also that, yeah, it's going to lead quickly also to an imbalance in the budget distribution between the different countries and the different areas. And so this is not going to be positively evaluated and assessed, because like we really need to see actually if you go through the criteria in order to assess project proposal, you will see that like, yeah, the geographical balance and the proportionate involvement of all the partners is one of the criteria behind like the evaluation of the partnership. So like if we see that one partner is of one country is overrepresented and all the activities are concentrated in one country, and so also all the budget is concentrated in one country, like this will be problematic.
Okay, for me, what was a bit confusing was it's not the same France or Luxembourg. No, it's not. Just in case we need to clarify this. Well, we are running out of time. In the end, we got quite a lot of questions. And before we close this session, we wanted to briefly remind you of the services that we have to support you in the preparation of your applications. Like we've mentioned this throughout the session in any case, but please go to our website. You will find all these different tools under the project development section. You can either look for partners or try to engage in a partnership that is interesting for you, check the different project ideas, publish your project idea. And of course, like it was mentioned before, you can ask for our feedback in case that you have a well-developed proposal and you want to check with us if you are going in the right direction. So please use these services that we have available for you. Also, I see that we have on the screen already this poll that we launched to know your feedback, to know if this was helpful for you, if you found this useful. And keep in mind that your feedback is essential for us. It helps us getting better and improve these sessions. So please, apart from giving us your feedback through this poll, if you have any comments for us, you can post them on the chat section. And also here you have on the screen now the different dates of these sessions that we've been mentioning many times throughout this session of today. Like I said before in the beginning, we have more Q&As yet to come until the closing of this call, the second call that we have open now. We invite you to join them. You can also watch the recordings because every Q&A session is recorded and then posted on our website. So you can rewatch the recordings, and you can also join the lead applicant week. We will have, like I said, from the 24th to the 27th of April, we will tackle all the main elements or components of your proposals, starting with partnership, methodology, management, budget and finances, and of course, communication. We had also quite a few questions on communications today. So we invite you to join these sessions if you're planning to apply, and we hope you apply. We hope to see you there. And with this, also, if you have other questions that you want to submit, not a specific feedback or question on a particular proposal, but other questions about the program or about the call, you can also address these questions to us via the FAQ section or ask a question form. Send your questions. We will get to you via email or phone conference, wherever you prefer. And with this, we can close the session of today. Like I said, I hope that you found this useful and helpful in the preparation of your applications. We are very happy to see you here, to have you in these sessions. And yeah, have a nice weekend. Bye-bye.